Brian Tracy, 32 Unshakable Laws of Money. I already talked about this at length. 32 Unshakable Laws of Money and Success. One thing I was going to say. So, Brian Tracy says he mowed lawns, made more money than his dad. He wrote goals and changed his life. So, like I said in my last review, I wrote down goals, and that doesn't change your life just to write down goals. You know, and they kind of say, like, you got to stick with it every day. There are these things that feel a little bit deceptive. Like, it will work if you just put in the time. You know, kind of like some of these multi-level marketing things. Like, you can make $1 million doing this, and then people make like spend a bunch of money on the multi-level marketing product and earn like $3,000 a year. Okay, but he said in 2 years he increased his income 10 times in sales. So this is either true or this is manipulated. You know, I'm not sure. You should work back from a goal. I think that's a great idea. Page 10, the law of compensation. You'll get what you give. But I don't know. Is that a law? Is that an unbreakable law that you get what you give? Like, how do we define the parameters of this? What about exploitation or negotiating? That's my thought. Another one is work 3 more hours a day. I've done this, you know, but what about it like a sweat lodge where they'll just work you to death? Because the interests of the business owner are different than the interests of the employee. Page 181, he doesn't say of his college graduation or master MBA that he earned. So it talks about how he didn't graduate high school and went and did a bunch of laborer jobs and then made himself into a success. But he did go back and he got a bachelor's degree and he got an MBA, I believe. So why wouldn't he say that? You know, and then it says he worked for a development company on page 24. But what company is that? Like, why wouldn't you say if you worked for Amazon? You know, if you were like Jack Welch or something like that, then you would say I worked for GE. Or you would say I worked for this. There's some, like, I don't know what it would be. Non-compete, cease and desist. I don't know what it would be. You can't mention your former employee. What would that be? A non-disclosure. Sign a non-disclosure or something like that. So the law of substitution. It's not the law of substitution that it's not the law of substitution that says, like, if you look up the law of substitution online, there's some scientific one. This is the law of substitution from the New Thought era. New Thought is a kind of philosophical, quasi-religious movement. It's sort of moving away from traditional, I guess, Christian ideas in the United States and more towards kind of Eastern ideas, which I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. But it's you know, presenting that as a law, the law of substitution, is seems to be like you're presenting these as unbreakable laws, but I'm not sure that they are. And then he says, say I'm responsible, don't blame people. I think this is a good idea. Take responsibility for yourself, for your life. But at the same time, I think certain systems are set up where blame should be placed on wrongdoers, and people are manipulated. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are some of my notes on Brian Tracy. 32 unbreakable laws of money and success.